Ladies and gentlemen, one and all, we are back. It's night shift number 18. I'm Puckett. I'm at the helm, which means we're going off the rails as always. We got DDK and Jake casting the first round of matches tonight. And Jake, looks like Leviathan wants a little bit more. Tonight, they've got a new challenger in Lowkey W.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be excited to see Cosmetical return to the field of play. He was like this much hyped player, came in right as Buff and Jars was starting to break apart, but we already get to see some glimmers of greatness from him, and I'm just excited to see what else he can bring. But of course, Leviathan, they won't be pushovers. They've been building their reputation, I think, for a while now in the scene, and could be a serious contender. Cosmetical won't be able to do it alone. He's going to need a solid team behind him, so we're going to see if that's what they're bringing to Night Shift today.
Now, DDK, our format is going to be fun as we have a new opening matchup, but it's going to be same old, same old. For anyone who is just joining us here at the Night Shift, how's the show work?
Well, you see, what we do is, firstly, you need to like Deadlock. That's a prerequisite to enjoy this show. And then we will show you some of the best Deadlock teams in each respective region. We always start with Europe. We always start with a challenger match, which is usually going to be one of the top 4, 5, 6 teams in Europe, and then they'll be facing the previous, or rather, the previous loser. Usually is how it's going to work, of the previous week, and then the winner of that challenger match then goes on to face, in this case, as you can see, Abrahams, who won the previous week. So that's like King of the Hill.
Every championship match will have $600 with an opportunity to grow that number with community contributions. If you want to contribute, simply scroll down below this stream window and hit that donate button. All of the subs go to the production support. And Jake, we have seen some incredible support. And sometimes the community, they have to put us in our place. I owe everybody an apology for the way that I handled the conversations about the chat and not focusing in on the game and instead talking about a very important discussion. I thought ABL had written an apology, which apparently he did, but it was ChatGPT'd. I thought that he was remorseful and he was sorry. You found evidence, and others had been presenting us evidence that that was not the case, and the Night Shift crew came together and made a decision. So for anyone who doesn't follow our Discord, can you let me know what is going on with ABL, former player of the Abrahams?
Yeah, so, just for everyone to understand, is hit the greatest hits of the announcement I put out on Discord. If you want to see our full response, you could join the Discord, check out the announcement, and I kind of went into detail on everything. Of course, it's important that everyone in the community should know we don't support racism. We don't support discrimination. No. Those aren't things that you can do, and it's like totally okay to be here in the Night Shift community. That's not what we're about. We do want to create the opportunity, though, in a scenario where somebody makes a mistake, they put their foot in their mouth. It's esports, and a lot of players are kind of ignorant, and so I feel like it's good to give them a second chance. But in this case, the second chance was squandered, and especially after all the controversy last week, a ton of people came to us, brought us a bunch of evidence that is pretty impossible to ignore. That I like, who can judge the sincerity of an apology? Especially somebody who isn't like an experienced English speaker. Sure, they can chat GPT an apology. I don't even care, but it's about what you do after that really matters to me. That I think speaks about what you're really feeling.
And his comment was he didn't feel like saying the N-word was a big deal, right?
Roughly, yeah. And then there's other evidence too. There's other stuff different people from around the community have brought to our attention. We've been talking with some of the other organizers in the community as well. And there's just like too much stuff to ignore. It's way beyond just any one thing. It's clear that he didn't take this as an opportunity to think about the action or to try and be different. Basically just wanted to ignore it and treat it as not a big deal, which, for us is like pretty sad to be in the position of offering someone a second chance and they don't take it in that way. But in the end, we felt like there's only one way to move forward from that, and it's to ban them indefinitely for now. We don't know, what the future holds in Deadlock, what our future is as Night Shift, but it's clear that ABL should not be competing in the Night Shift, shouldn't be having that platform right now. That's about it.
Yeah, excellent summary. If you guys want to read the full thing, it is over on our Discord. We can drop that in the chat for you. Again, apologies for letting things get out of control last week. Tonight, we are excited to focus in on the new Abrahams, but we got to find out who will they be playing against. It'll either be Leviathan or Lowkey W. DDK, anything you want to tack on to all of the supporters who have been watching us and supporting? You told me before this show, this could be episode number 50 in Deadlock for a lot of the folks working behind the scenes and you on camera.
I don't know if I said that to you, fucking, but I will roll with that.
I think we're
Is
getting
it
there.
ZP said it was 49.
I think that's correct. I think we're right there. Like we're coming up on 50 shows, probably more than 50, including stuff like the trolley tournament and maybe some other, small one-off events. And so it's pretty exciting, that even though Deadlock has not been around for that long, we've been kind of building something pretty cool to get to this point.
Yes,
Sure.
we appreciate the community. We are looking to continue growing the community. And just like Sergeant Sadsack, we appreciate all of your support. This is a non-sponsored show. So basically, we've been living off of a budget that you guys have contributed with all of your subs, with all of your ad contributions, with just your following. So we appreciate the support. DDK, I'm told we're ready to jump into it. Let's take a look at our Patreons here. We've got some big donors in the community who have been keeping us afloat between seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is just such a great moment to reflect on all of the support that we've had from starting out with shows which were not funded at all to getting, that first sponsorship on board with Intel. And then, we've been very fortunate in all the support that we've received. And right now, you guys are a part of that, especially on the Patreon as well as on Twitch with the subscriptions, really helping us keep the show going whilst Deadlock is still not even yet in open beta. There's still a lot of competition, and this really allows for the players to actually have a place to build themselves, to build their reputation, to have something to play for, and for us to build the storylines around them in the nascency of the Deadlock scene. And you guys are a large reason as to why that's even possible in the first place. So thank you very much for the support. And if you want to join, of course, you can go to patreon.com/Deadlock Night Shift, and you get some perks. But I have to say, before we talk about that, Puckett, we got a new addition to the board.
What's the new addition?
Matthew S. Isn't that a new addition? I think.
Welcome to the board, Matthew S.
Members. You get to make key strategic decisions for our company at this. No, I'm just kidding. Please.
You get to choose the first round of stickers we produce. Here we go, guys. It's time to jump into our pick priority and item priority. Every week, we try and give you an update on what the pros are running, what they're avoiding. And Jake, there's been a shakeup since the most recent patch. So what did you see in terms of character selection? What's the top pick, the go-to you expect coming into week 18?
Let's take a look at some of the stats here as we, look at the hero priority. One thing that's been pretty dominant is some of these heavy frontliners. Shiv has been just about as good as ever, right? Like he's either banned or first picked every game so far. Billy also getting a ton of attention here in the ban prio. So definitely a lot of focus there. Really surprising though that characters like Wraith, Mirage have really risen in this patch. I mean, Infernus still getting a good amount of playtime, but Wraith and Mirage seeing, pick or ban activity in every single game, I believe, in the last night shift. So, and then of course, Paradox, a little surprising that it's not contested. It's going in the second round, which is kind of, it's a big change for Paradox, but in the end, still 7 picks. So maybe not that big of a change. Probably not a change that's felt too much, at least in terms of the top level meta right now.
FaZe, thank you for joining the Night Shift crew. And DDK, I'm looking here, and Vindicta was banned 3 times, first round picked 3 times, and picked a 4th time. So is Vindicta another go-to character this time around in week 18?
Yeah, I think Vindicta benefited a lot from the new investment spikes that we are seeing, and the Spirit spike is pretty powerful for Vindicta. And then she just has, of course, like a lot of setup utility and can provide a lot of like damage in those keep early to mid game parts of the game with not necessarily with a lot of farm that has to go into that. And she obviously can generate a lot of extra cash. So Vindicta also, having the control element for the big team fights into the late game just really makes her, I think, powerful in every stage at the moment. And she's also like a good counter to quite a few things. So yeah, it's good to see her back at the top.
That was the priority last week. We got to go to the item priority as well, I'm told. So let's take a look at what they are purchasing. Jake, walk me through it. The text is quite small, but we've got some big things here. Oh, these are the patch notes.
Patch notes for first. So I mean, this is going to be interesting to see Billy getting like a couple, I think, pretty meaningful nerfs to Billy actually in terms of like the chain gang in particular feels like it's a lot less broken in terms of the consistency. It's a lot more possible to get away and LOS that chain gang. So Billy isn't going to have such a monster team fight, but I still think, he's going to be a very powerful frontliner, especially given some of the carries being played right now, like Wraith and Mirage, where the chain lockdown is a really big deal against their movement skills. I could still see Billy getting a ton of play, just maybe less ridiculous. Dynamo getting a small nerf on the kinetic pulse spirit scale, like, kind of a little sad because I think Dynamo would have been fun to see more, and I still don't know that we were going to see that much Dynamo.
He got picked twice.
But and then Infernus, another gun nerf more or less, especially with the afterburn, right? So instead of one single bullet from Infernus re-maxing your afterburn, now it only is going to tick up a little bit. So you're going to have to be much more sustained with the damage you put on a target to keep them burning. So especially in the early game, I think this is going to reduce Infernus's laning power pretty significantly and make him a little bit more possible to lane into as some of these tankier characters.
Keep in mind, this update came out during our grand final for EU last week. Quite entertaining way to kick things off. We get a chance to see it for its second week after the players have had a bit more time to practice. With that said, are we ready to jump into our teams? I think the players are ready. And do we have a Movi mode today? That's what I want to know. Leviathan taking on Lowkey W. DDK, let's take a look here at our players. Who do you want to look at first?
Okay, well, production has decided for us. We're going to look at Leviathan first, and I mean it's a really scary roster because I mean there's obviously been some changes here or there, but Empty Dreams obviously really strong player that we're used to seeing, and obviously Pocket isn't necessarily something that's in meta as much. It's still good if you've got someone like an Empty Dreams who is could be considered the best in class on it, but otherwise like a very good playmaker player. Overseas really good on the pick heroes. So I hope we get to see some Bebop, or you might see Overseas playing that Paradox. OCs is maybe one of the ones to watch here on this team as well. I'm not going to go through absolutely everybody, but OCs I think has really made a name for himself in the last few weeks since the Trolley Invitational. Actually, when we first saw him as the king of farm, any hero that requires farm, OCs will get it and then be way ahead of anybody else you could expect in that role. So very strong player to watch.
Who is the top farmer right now? Is it Mina? Is Seven still in the mix? That was the first character I saw be a farm god.
I mean, I think it'd be interesting to see how the patch changes EU's preferences, because this patch actually hit last night shift, but in the middle of the show, just after EU had completed, and so it was the EU didn't really get their chance to try out some of the new patch heroes. And for NA, they were going a little bit more of like the Warden and Geist direction with these like really big frontliner tank style carries. Where EU is playing, I think, more of the conventional backline carry. So I think this is going to be the moment where the EU teams get to really show, hey, what they think about the new patch. And I mean, Leviathan, just looking at this roster, I mean, this looks scary, right? These are all players who have had a lot of success on other teams coming together to form something new and potentially dangerous, even for foes like Abraham's waiting, of course, in that money match. So Leviathan, I'm really excited to see, especially some of these, like you mentioned, some of the heavy farming players, like what direction they go in this patch, like what's their priority in their look to carry the game.
On the other side of the matchup, we've got Lowkey W. Let's take a look at the starting six tonight. Trax, Vrake, is that how we're saying it? Blob, Doi, Captain, and Cosmetical. Cosmetical, the most hyped up player I've seen so far in the chat. What are you looking forward to from this lineup, Jake?
I feel like Captain for me is particularly exciting. He's looked really, really good on the Abrams. I mean, I just like finding a ton of initiations. I'm hopeful that he gets to bring that hero out. A bunch of the players I haven't really seen, I think, in a night shift event before, but of course, Cosmetical, I mean, on the signature pocket. Another player hero combo. I really hope they're able to get off in this draft, because I just think, getting these guys on their best heroes is going to be exciting and it'll give the playmaking potential they need to maybe get what I would consider an upset over Leviathan. I mean, Leviathan, all those names, experience, probably all those players have like won a night shift and certainly competed enough times to really be experienced here in this competitive environment. And so for some of these other players, I don't know that we've seen them before. Trax, Vrake, Blob, and Doi, I truly don't think we have. And so, like, to get them onto the server to see what they've got, this is going to be their first showing. So definitely underdogs here, but maybe the experienced vets on the team can bring the heat and get the job done.
EU chat never changed. We have Icron, DL, and Do17 saying, hey, could you move over Mo and Krill and McGinnis for Leviathan so it looks like the characters are kissing? No one's kissing on this screen. Simply guns and a lot of scary faces. Will we see a Haze in action? Because she was only picked once last week. Is it still a viable character? DK, what do we think?
Yeah, I think so. I think EU has always been a region that has found utility in Haze because Haze actually, I mean, the funny thing is that Haze is one of those heroes that I think plays at the pro level almost the most different to what you would expect in like a pub capacity, because in pub capacity you're expecting to see Haze as a DPS, whereas in at this level of play there's a lot of kind of better options for that, and so Haze often ends up being more supportive with the dagger allowing a lot of ability to do setup and also allowing a lot of roam, a lot of scouting around the map with the smoke bomb and so on. So Haze kind of functions a bit differently at the top level. So we'll see if EU decides to keep it going.
Lowkey getting rid of the Shiv, even after the rage nerf.
Shiv still just, it almost feels like the nerfs just never matter for Shiv. I mean, the execute is still ridiculous. You know, the spirit scaling is pretty potent, especially on your knives. If you're able to like stack those up, get the rapid recharge, it just feels like almost anything can be chipped down, finished off by a Shiv. And even if your farm's not the best, your execute is still going to give value in the late game. So Leviathan also going to take away the Mirage, what they think is the top carry right now. And Lowkey W rips it in with the Billy. They take away the Shiv, who's probably one of the only heroes in the game that can really take the fight to Billy. And so now the question for Leviathan is, what are they going to deal with this Billy front line? I mean, that's been a question for a lot of teams that have struggled to answer.
Abrams keeps coming.
I think one consideration too is what you decide to do with the Page, because I feel like the Page Billy combo is reminiscent of the Shiv Kelvin combo of the past, because of what the shielding can do for Billy. Billy can just dive in, and then you can get the full up with the Page ult. That's kind of very similar to like the Kelvin dome as well for the dives in lane. So the Wraith comes out. And Abrams probably like the top tank other than Billy and Bruiser, and then Wraith the top damage dealer outside of the Mirage. I guess Mirage is probably the only thing comparable to DPS now.
Wow. A Drifter's a wild pick here. I mean, I think there's some theory about this being a decent response to Wraith, who wants to go for these split pushes, and maybe Drifter can be a hero that actually punishes Wraith for those moves, but still, Drifter even got nerfed this patch on the bullet damage scaling, I believe, or maybe just the raw like level 1 bullet
damage. I think
it's still a big deal. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised by this. I feel like Drifter historically has not looked good in competitive play, with people being really good at working together. But Yamato doubling down on the front line here for Lowkey W.
Today isn't the day for
mercy. Yeah, I think the Drifter one's interesting. Drifter, I think, had before the nerf, had the best gun damage, base gun damage of any hero in the game, and which is, I think, one of the reasons why we're seeing him get picked. So he was kind of just shredding people. So he'll probably still be pretty strong there. But I like what you're saying, Jake. I do think it can make sense to be able to pair him against the Wraith, especially because Wraith can TP and that provides some safety. But if Drifter can hit a Wraith with the dot, then he'll be able to like TP after her. So it makes it a little bit less safe to play against if the Drifter plays it correctly.
Yeah, haven't been seeing people get those stacks up on Drifter. It feels so unrealistic. Lowkey W taking the pocket away now. Interesting choice here. I mean, they are really lacking lockdown. It's pretty much just Billy for the moment in terms of like actual control, and maybe they just feel like, hey, we're gonna need any stuns we do pick for already characters like Wraith and Vindicta to like stun them, lock them down. But Leviathan take another of that. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a Mo. I wouldn't mind. I mean, there's things like Paradox and Holiday that I probably want to see first, but honestly for Lowkey W, I'd love to see like Paradox plus Mo here. I think you're going to need a ton of catch. I think Abrams in particular, I kind of don't mind the matchup as Mo, but they go with the Page first, as you're saying, Dan, like really valuable for that laning combo with the Billy, but could be a great follow-up lockdown if they have somebody who can catch and set up. I think that's kind of what they're missing right now.
Yeah, and it's kind of awkward as well when Leviathan picked Doorman, because Doorman's ult, I think, really counters like some of the Doorman's kind of the problem for Warden, I feel like, is, because it just takes him out of viability completely. In terms of what Lowkey are missing right now, I'm trying to think like what I want them to have as that final pick, Jake. I'm not sure.
It's interesting because it depends where Drifter really is in the draft. Like if Drifter is your primary gun carry, which personally I just hate, I don't think is good for that. I think you need like a true M1 carry. And so I think that's really, for me at least, is what they're missing. Some teams have gone with drafts that kind of ignore that. You could go with like a Geist and try to, be a little bit more frontline heavy. But Leviathan even snagged that away. So Leviathan have, for me, a very balanced draft. They've got like the pick, they've got the mobility, they've got the frontline. Lowkey W, I think, pretty over-indexed onto like aggression and diving on top of you, but maybe if they can bring that kind of pace, I wouldn't mind. What about like a Mina carry here to just like really push the pace? They just go with the Warden though, so okay. I mean, I think this is going to be like a full gun Warden, which I will say is less countered by Doorman. Like if you're not really reliant on your ulti, you know, Doorman is going to struggle to like hold the ulti to counter Warden ulti, you know, because we're just running at people with gun, and you're just not really going to be able to save the ulti for especially when the Warden ult comes out. But I am a little curious because I think Lowkey W, I think they're a little bit lacking in control, honestly. I think that they're going to need some powerful items, like maybe the knockdown on the page, and maybe the Paradox can you know, lock people down for enough for the Warden trap to proc. But otherwise, I could see Leviathan kind of like dancing in and out of these fights and playing on the mobility pretty effectively.
Yeah, I was actually, when I was thinking about it, instead of the Warden, it would have been really cool to see Sinclair, because it does provide some of that extra control. And I think it would have liked Sinclair tempos really well because he's actually so devastating in the early to mid game. So yeah, interesting draft. I think I do agree. You know, Leviathan, if you just like ignore the players playing the, you know, like on the actual roster, I like Leviathan's draft the most for sure. I think it just provides a bit of everything. And Geist is, I feel like, a sleeper threat as well, because you're thinking about Wraith, who is really deadly in lane and hard to itemize for because of the split of the spirit gun damage. But Geist is gonna, you know, get that what's it called, the spell slinger online later on, and that's the DPS and gets out of hand real quick.
Yeah, I also think the Geist health swap is going to be pretty free this game, right? Like every one of these damage dealers is pretty close range for Lowkey W. I mean, even Warden is like, just the nature of your gun. You do kind of want to be right on top of people, gunning them down. And historically, Geist has just been amazing against that type of a carry because they just don't have a real way to play around the health swap. You know, she turns around fights, gets kills, and even if she ends up dying, you know, if she gets that counter kill after the swap and then it lives a little bit longer, like she's done enough in the fight, and the rest of the team is going to be able to clean house here. So I definitely think Lowkey W are going to have to like get ahead of the game and kind of like keep the pace up to keep Leviathan on the back foot. I think Leviathan can make it to the late game and feel comfortable. I think they do have the better draft, but maybe the Yamato, I mean, the mid-boss contest is also pretty sick for Lowkey W. So I will say, if this comes down to contested mid-boss fights, I do think that actually could be pretty favorable for them, considering the Leviathan draft. They got the Doorman, but other than that, it's like Abrams is okay, but like other than, there's no like really potent AoE stuns that are gonna like set up for a secured mid boss. That being said, you got to be able to get to the point in the game where you can properly force the mid boss for that to really be relevant. So I think Leviathan have the more well-rounded draft, but Lowkey W, there's certainly ways to win if they can kind of corral the game into where they're strong.
Yeah, I agree. I assume that OCs is going to be on the OCs will be on Wraith. Yeah, Wraith, right?
Yeah,
Leviathan Lowkey W. It's game number 1 on the mic for your EU Challenger matchup. It's Jake with DDK. Jake, are you excited, buddy? Let's get into it.
I'm stoked for both of these teams. I mean, for Lowkey W, I'm really excited to see some of these new players coming onto the scene. I think that's always exciting. And you know, you got to remember, like in every crop of new players, there's going to be some players who end up being, you know, really top tier stars, right? And you know, we're still so early in Deadlock history. There's going to be many more rounds of new players coming in and kind of taking these top spots. But it's so competitive right now. I think that's always going to be fun. At the same time, Leviathan are like a reformation of a lot of players we've come to know and love on Night Shift that could be, you know, seriously strong, effective players. If you check out the lanes here, it's going to be Drifter and Warden laning together versus a Holiday and a Wraith. I mean, the Holiday Wraith, if they can just play range, they're going to be so strong. But if Drifter Warden get on top of you, you are going to be in real trouble.
Yeah, that's a lot of gun damage. The threat's definitely pretty heavy. This is a really important lane, obviously, to also be a victory for Lowkey W up against the Wraith. You want to definitely keep the Wraith down as much as you possibly can. This mid lane matchup is an interesting one. The Paradox Yamato for Lowkey versus the Geist and Doorman. Geist Doorman definitely feels pretty difficult to be up against.
Yeah, I do think the lane pressure from Yamato Paradox is going to be really aggressive. Oh, wow. Geist just no fear taking that trade, huh? But I think this is like both mid lanes look pretty strong. I kind of think Paradox Yamato might be even more threatening. But Geist with his headshot booster is going to be punching back very aggressively. I think this one just comes down to execution. Maybe Geist can sustain. Now taking a look at the third lane here. I mean, Page Billy versus Abrams and Vindicta. Abrams and Vindicta is powerful, but it mostly has a ton of lockdown and control, and I'm kind of worried about how it's going to do against a Page Billy that almost don't care about being stunned. Like, I feel like this Page Billy Billy's just going to go on you, and You just have to parry. I don't think there's anything else that is really going to save you from Billy running you down with Page Shield.
Yeah, pretty much. It feels. I think that's why it feels like the Shiv Calvin. It feels quite undeniable in terms of you can't really stop them. You can't really stop them. It's very hard if they play it correctly, at least. Abrams though, definitely pretty tanky, and the stake, a well-timed stake, can definitely punish an overextension. So definitely some tools to work with for Leviathan to be able to beat it. And I don't know. I feel like on all these lanes, for me, all of them except the Billy and Page feel like winners for me for Leviathan, because I actually think the guys with if you go for the life drain opening, level 2 life drain, I feel like you can, especially against the Yamato, because Yamato needs to be a little bit closer. I feel like you can trade pretty effectively and prevent the Yamato from getting too much momentum. We'll see how it plays out, but that's kind of my theory of it.
Mid lane being pinned in deep. Yamato looking to catch. Looks like maybe a Geist caught behind, but Geist slips away. Of course, takes that save shot. Oh, the headshot booster. Watch out, Yamato in real trouble. Could be going down, and yes, the follow-up is there. So Geist finds one, and might be another on the cards here. I mean, Paradox is in deep. Paradox is aggressive here, trying to trade out Doorman, but Doorman... Oh, okay, Obikin is down, but yeah, Cosmetical surely is going to be going down here. The heavy melees. He's tanky on this Paradox, so hold on. One more shot, one more bullet will do it. Oh, and it comes down to the headshot. Nice cleanup from OCs.
Yeah, that was getting kind of sketchy there. That was getting sketchy. And it's interesting to see, again, OCs on the Geist.
You could be dead here.
Ooh, got a heal.
Got the heal. Yeah, they should be just in time. Action on the side lane, though. Billy, low. Shields also running dry. Abrams is holding his own here. With the help of the Guardian Ward from Indicta, it's not as easy of a lane as it might otherwise be. And a double bird here puts more pressure on. Got to be a little bit scared now, Abrams and Billy. Both of the frontliners taking the brunt of the pressure. Drifter doing what he does best here, diving into the backline, but gets absolutely turned on, and what a sick parry as well from the Wraith. Insult to injury.
Good trade out though coming on through, although another trade to be had, so Flammable is going to clean that one up and have a lane to himself. If he wants to take these creeps, but it's just going to freeze them, let his teammate come back to lane. And here's that mid pressure again. You got the Geist performance looking really nice here. Geist is very strong in lane. Just a beautiful work there with Obikim as well, adding a lovely hand with the Doorman, who's got a really nasty 4.8k spirit spike as well on those doorbells, Jake. It actually is kind of ridiculous the damage the Doorman can do early on.
Yeah, you get that. Maybe go rapid recharge and start really just pumping in big damage. Geist holding the front line down. That next death for Yamato is pretty painful for Blob, right? Like significantly falling behind the game now. And as buffs come up, this could be a scenario where Leviathan are grabbing both buffs, which is a huge tempo swing this early in the game. You get both buffs, come back to the lanes and start dominating. And there's not really a winning lane on the map here for Lowkey W. I mean, all three have been taking a bit of punishment. So Leviathan showing their advantage here in the laning prowess. Lowkey W, heavy melee does connect though. A nice greedy catch there from the Warden to kill off Flammable.
Pretty nice, and Warden can really farm very quickly. I would be very curious to see what sort of build we'll find from Doi in this game on that Warden. But yeah, Warden is
he's ulting for tower too. He's all in. Oh, Billy though getting punished. Support not quite there, and a parry onto the Billy. Great catch from the Abrams. Could have followed for more, but Billy's still tanking this. Getting the help from Page is enough, and another parry this time onto the Abrams. Billy going to be very happy to clean this one up and might even find another Vin. Tried to get cheeky with a defensive parry there, but it could end up costing her life. Fremont, that's it. Dead to rights now with the parry used. Wait, this Legend moving? No way, right? No way he lives this. Billy refuses to let him live, but he's going to take a ton of damage for this kill now. The escape is still very valuable.
I feel against any other hero, you're able to get out of that situation.
Billy. Oh, never mind. The Page ult? Oh, close one, though. I mean, they forced Page. Like, the fact that Fremont dances back that well actually pulls a ton more resource out of Captain on this Billy and is going to make the push on this Guardian a lot less effective.
Yeah, it'll certainly slow things down. But that is just... This is why Billy Page is so scary. Like, the fact that he's able to do so much there is impressive. A quick swap in mid here, another skirmish, and a quick slap, Doorman slap. Unable to find the finishing shot, though, onto the Paradox. Oh my god, just chilling.
Kinetic Carbine can't quite get the snipe off either. The action's really starting to heat up here, especially in the mid lane. Geist diving is super deep. Recognizes Paradox is just out of gas here in the mid lane. Yamato does have ulti, but I think Geist is just happy to take that tempo swap here. Get max HP and push Yamato back into the lane.
Yeah, Yamato got to go back to base, so you can see why Geist is really, really good. And it's actually interesting because I felt like NA was faster to this than EU. And we don't often say that, but Geist is super, super strong. And OCS is really providing the answer as to why that is. And here's a Drifter chase down coming on through. Again, looking to try to take down Empty Dreams. Really important to just keep the big nerf hammer on that Wraith as much as you can in this match. And again, I think you're right, Jake. I think Drifter really is a pick for that.
Yeah, definitely an aggressive build from the Drifter. Needs to get them tempoed out early game. Geist doesn't have swap in the mid lane. Oh, what a beautiful catch here, Cosmetical, with the swap into the power slash. The power slash just is good enough for the kill, though, as Blob chases it down. That's a crazy catch from Cosmetical. I didn't think he had any chance to get that one, but here comes one more into the mid lane, just turning this one around. Holiday surely caught dead to rights. No, wait, hold on. Even Paradox goes down? Okay. Drifter
wow, after missing the lasso, I thought that was it, but this is crazy. Obviously, okay, like Holiday's still pretty good, even though she's lost some priority. And I gotta say, Jake, I'm surprised. Lowkey W, they were looking like they were trending to go just kind of start losing and bleeding out on the lead, but they've done a really good job here to keep this relatively even despite some initial losing trades.
Yeah, definitely battling back in a couple of these key fights. You know, looking now to the Warden, and Cosmetical is almost at 8k, so he's kind of leading the game here on Paradox. And Paradox is one of those heroes that does deceptively significant damage in the early game. I'm kind of curious, maybe we could take a look at the Paradox first person to check out some of the items, because if Cosmetical builds into some early gun carry, he could kind of get some of his other teammates back into the game. A fight with a rapid recharge Holiday, though, is maybe not something you want this early in the game. Flammable looking to force the issue here, putting some pressure on the Paradox. Heal right forced, and oh yeah, with the darkness on top, you're a little bit scared to continue to chase. Hoping for a counter kill. You can see Holiday just can't really see anything here, but there's just enough players around where Drifter can't really get into the action.
So 44k to 49k, and 2 towers up a side right now, and was into the 10-minute mark. So there's the Billy dive. Really hard to deny Billy when he really wants it. Just dancing around the tower, but just Billy just tanking for days, not really caring about that tower at all. Is able to just be completely like Bruce doesn't seem to care at all. He's just allowing Billy to be there, and suddenly Billy once again just like fighting under the tower. There comes the page ult again. This is why it's so ridiculous. Billy able to survive absolutely everything. Abrams there with the life drain, trying to see if he can finally get this kill with the help of Flammable. It will come through, and the chase comes on as well. Is Page going to go down also? Might be a chance of that. Nice charge to try to find the finish. There's the keg as well, and Page surely going to die.
If they can do this without lasso, that's a big deal. Yeah, Holiday keeping that tempo up, and with the Guardian down here, I mean, you can be aggressive on the Billy, but you don't have any way to fall back into the lane. They're able to save the Guardian as well. So a couple good rotates from Leviathan. Kind of stifle some of that momentum that Lowkey W was starting to build. Warden ulting to defend this tower, but I believe he was just sent to the Baroness in his ulti. No value off of that. Gets cleaned up, and Free Monk as well getting into the action. So some of these early game laners activating. Empty Dreams already has that big power spike here on Spirit, building into the gun as well, really building towards the late game. And now Drifter's caught him. I mean, Flammable is just taking over this early game, man. He's actually hard carrying.
Yeah, Flammable is doing so much to just even out lanes that suck and just create so much chaos, looking to get more damage on this one. There comes the Guardian Wards to try to keep him alive. Back onto the jump pad for the evasive maneuvers, and he's going to be able to just be safe. And his teammates now in the 3v1 against the Yamato. He's now on the escape, or trying to, but he's getting sandwiched here. There's nowhere to go. Although Shadow Form coming out might help him survive for just a few moments longer. In the meantime, Billy still back at it here, trying to catch Flammable. Finds him on the periphery in the fight and gets the punish. Beautiful turnaround coming on through from Lowkey W, as Billy coming in on that back line is really doing all the damage here. Great collapse from them.
And this could turn into more. It could turn into an urn. Drifter running down Lady Geist, has no swap left. And with that isolation benefit, the damage is good. Cosmetical finds the finish. Stack for Drifter is a nice thing to find early in the game. The urn has been juggled back, though, so Leviathan do deny that turn in here. That's a big fight, as you were saying, for Lowkey W. It's exactly the kind of action they're looking for at this phase of the game with the Billy.
There's more action in middle as well, because the fighting just continues here, it seems. Now it's going to be Leviathan looking to pursue the kills. Defensive maneuvers there from Lowkey W not really working out. And finally, these mid Guardians are going to go down. And in fact, all those Stage 1 Guardians are now finally gone. But the own is being run. Leviathan holding on to that one, looking to make a dash for it. They've got positioning, and they've got the better half of the map to do it.
The door, man, just makes it so difficult. You're just not quite ready for that. So Lowkey W invests a lot of resources into a fight in the mid lane, but ultimately that leads them giving up the urn. So nice macro victory here for Leviathan, despite taking a couple of relatively painful deaths. Also, Empty Dreams, by the way, 15k on the Wraith. I mean, he's hitting multiple spikes here, has the Spirit and gun, so all damage in terms of his early spikes. Yamato into the Baroness. Is she going to be able to get out without blocking the damage? Just barely, but there's so much follow-up. Yeah, waiting on the other side. Abrams here to carry your bags, Yamato. Hey, check out anytime you like.
Okay, well, Geist is actually getting caught alone. OCs is going to get, I think, chased down by like 4 or 5 players here. Not too fun. Able to make it back to the Walker, though, just in time. And the turnaround here from Lowkey is going to find 2 players. So Leviathan have to be really cautious here that they don't get caught and isolated. This is an opportunity now. Lowkey W able to catch Flammable here. Trying to escape on the jump pad. The quick swap there, straight through the time wall. Somehow still alive, but surely not for much longer. He's out of the fight, though. And Flammable will stay up, it seems. And now, is there a problem for Lowkey W? Are they too deep here? Billy goes down in the fight, and I don't know if they can disengage. They're going to try to do so. Guardian Ward, and looks like they are able to escape, but they will lose Captain, but at least they traded onto Flammable.
It's a big push as well on the side lane right now. Looks like Wraith may be able to find a kill. Yamato has the ulti, but the damage is good. I mean, Wraith can absolutely pound through this, and yeah, the only delays the inevitable. Considering a Walker push here, and Wraith strong. She has the TP still, so she's going to take this risk. Has debuff remover, has all 3 early game power spikes, but the appearance of Cosmetical is going to be just a little bit too scary. The threat of that silence, too real. Forces them back for now. But I mean, Empty Dreams is kind of continuing on a bit of a rampage here. OCs as well. So the players who need the Farmer Leviathan are getting it. And now immediately into the other Walker. So the lane scenario is getting really bad now for Lowkey W. The macro play is dominant here from the Leviathan.
Yeah, this seems really, really problematic at this point. Wraith is starting to get way too far ahead of the pack. 19k souls, really far ahead at the moment. Kill onto Ebikim is going to be nice. Finding the doorman. Can
the door,
W
but
find more?
Surely OCs is out. I mean, OCs just have swap anyway, so it's not really a kill you're going to feel great about. But I mean, the pressure is coming thick and fast now. All offense here. Lowkey W bringing some rotations in. They do get this trap onto Abrams and a lot of follow-up control, but Abrams is definitely one tanky MF here. He's just trying to run out now with a big chase down being attempted by Lowkey W. Seems like it won't be enough, though. Yeah, that charge gets overseas out, and that's an expensive rotation. You brought a lot of prayers to kind of make that defense, and the whole time, Empty Dreams just farming up, man. Was not even committed to that fight.
Okay, here comes the bridge buffs. Oh, nice parry. OC steals that one away.
Wait, Cosmetical, he's strong, though. He's still fighting this one out. Yeah, and Geist has swap, but you're pretty low on some other characters. You have to be careful. I mean, a low HP swap. Ooh, Geist trying to get something off, but the swap is good enough. The follow-up is there, and well played around the threat of that swap. It's exactly the kind of counter kills you need. That's a good point. Take down that life buff before guys can really get to use it. And, oh, just a little old Page trying to defend against a Wraith? Surely not. Surely not. Yeah, this guy, Wraith, is way too farmed. That's an easy kill, and there's no one else here. I mean, this is a free Walker. Does he realize, though, if he can stick around for this?
It looks like they will. But in the meantime, this fight in mid is everything. Lowkey W have to make good of this. They're going to lose a Walker in the meantime, so they have to get some kills here. But are they going to get much?
They're finding a good amount. They already found a couple kills here, right? Yeah, they lost the Walker, but I think Abrams just has the health maybe to make this defense happen. And so in the end, it's a 2-for-0 Walker trade. A few kills going in, but now there might even be some counter kills. Wraith is coming into this fight. You're going to have a real problem when Empty Dream shows up here. Abrams running it down, knows that the support is coming in. Lasso onto Yamato, has no ulti to continue this fight. And it's a dominant 3-0 fight in the mid lane. And Wraith goes straight to the mid boss now. I mean, Leviathan smell blood in the water. They're going to try and end this game sooner rather than later, Dan.
Yeah, this is a big problem. A big problem. There should be the rest of the Walkers cleaned up after the rejuves. There's nothing really to challenge for this. I mean, there are some ults that could work out quite nicely for Lowkey W, but they just don't have the players up. They're going to try to disrupt it, though, slow it down a little bit.
But he can't even fight with his ulti in the staircase. That is a damning sign for a Warden. I mean, tries to to go for some sort of a counterplay here. You could look for the page ult, maybe go for a last hit. I think they will. Drifter looking to get in. Instant lift under Drifter. Here comes the page ult. The stuns are good, but they're not good enough. Leviathan dodge it, grab all 3 crystals and some kills to boot. Page following up with a quick death. And it's going to be a clean fight. I don't even know if you're going to get a single crystal down. Billy, 1v5, no chance into this one.
There we go. Quick wipe makes it even worse. And I mean, 23k on the Wraith is ridiculous. Like Wraith right now, like for those people who haven't played any Deadlock, to be honest, I assume that everyone in our chat is like actively playing right now. You're gonna understand that Wraith is really the scariest carry, and you just can't. I feel like it's so impossible to do anything against a Wraith that gets this far ahead at this point. I don't know what tools you need, but they're not gonna have the money for them anytime soon.
Yeah, debuff remover is just a huge deal. And we kind of talked about this for Lowkey W in the draft, right? They're a little bit light on the control. And a lot of the control they do have is pretty much gated by, you know, a debuff remover. OC's does have that Reju Crystal. No swap available, so they are going to be able to get this first kill, but is the support going to be there? They would love to be able to kill this Geist twice, and it seems like maybe she did just come a little bit too far out into the wrong neighborhood. Solo buff here from the Drifter, but hold on, now here comes the support, and maybe Lowkey W stuck around a little bit too long for this. Leviathan into the fight. And they're just trying to get out now. Lowkey W trying to escape with their lives, but it feels like that's not going to happen, man. Run down by Overseas on this Abrams.
A little bit too tanky on that Geist. Delicious morsel, but the Wraith actually getting caught here. Yamato on the pursuit, flying strike. And that should be the finish. Oh my god, there's the turnaround coming on through, but there's the rejuve, so it doesn't really matter at the end of the day here, Jake. It's still everybody up here for Leviathan as Lowkey W.
Yeah.
At least they're taking them, they're forcing the initiative, I suppose, but...
I mean, I think it is good. I think you, like, need to get these crystals down prior to, like, the base push. So, I mean, it's preventing, like, the end of the game for Lowkey W, but the deaths are expensive, right? They've lost so many players for this. The lead now expanding to 30k, and you still have that one last reju. Wraith is going to be a viable kill target. Oh, what a pin down from Abrams. Gets everybody here. Billy Page trying to fight, trying to do what they can, contesting, trying to get one more crystal down, but no one dropping in Leviathan, sharing the pressure admirably here. And Lowkey W wiped off the server. Wraith doing what she does best, cleaning up base. Still a little bit of time left on this reju, but I think could just reset this. I mean, you've earned such an enormous advantage off this reju. There's a lot of map to be farmed. And, you know, now you start to think about the money match, right? You start to think about, okay, like, just secure this game, get this dub. And, I mean, this is the Leviathan that clearly came to play for that cash in tonight's night shift.
Yeah, their lineup is really scary. They've got really good players in all the different positions. And it's always cool to have a team that has somebody like OC's where you're not going to have someone that can really go toe-to-toe to what OC's does in any other roster, I feel like. So that's like always a fun dynamic when you're playing in these drafts. But at the same time, like, you know, OC's plays a lot of different heroes. Like, we're seeing Geist here, I think, maybe for the first time on night shift, for OC's at least. And right, also not quick. Being
What's the buy? What's the buy? I vote Leech. Okay, he goes, oh, it just goes reactive and surge. Okay, fair enough, using his slots. But I mean, he's enormous, right? Surge is pretty sick on Wraith. Use like every aspect of that item, and
oh yeah,
probably one of the best rate of fire users in the entire game. Probably the best, given the nature of the kit. Lift coming in. Hold on, this is very deep for Wraith. Remember, he doesn't have that reju credit. Has already utilized it. Drifter just absolutely aping him, running him down, but the lifesteal is good. He stays alive. He's kiting through everything. The lasso's coming in. The team are supporting, and Wraith baits himself perfectly there. Running low on CDs, though. Warden would love this kill, and that's a very valuable one, not to mention an enormous bag. But there's no chance you can even keep it. Not even worth the time to deliver the melee. Just dead to rights here to the Vindicta. Oh, and it's a team wipe.
Yep. I like that as well from Freemonk, taking the extra, like, 200 milliseconds to line up the headshot for that one.
Just guarantee it. Lock it in. Wait, does Vindicta snipe headshot? I thought
yes,
it didn't.
Does 25% more damage.
Oh, okay, okay.
Which is actually kind of...
It's nice.
It's kind of a nice bonus, yeah.
Then again, I mean, it is like the nuke, right? Just the raw nuking power of it is so crazy. So
yeah.
5% is a big deal, especially if you get like boundless, as we sometimes see people get. I mean, it's just Leviathan just out macroing, keeping this game very clean. Like, there's no reason to risk attempting a game end here with mid-boss spawning in a couple minutes. That's much more likely to be the end of the game, but Overseas looking. I mean, he doesn't have a warp stone. I don't know how he's ever going to catch anybody, but just the threat of this Abrams is so real. I mean, if you get pinned out of base at this phase of the game, Abrams is just not somebody you can ever counter kill. I think with where the game is at. And so he's kind of just standing here with impunity, keeping you corralled in the base while the rest of the team farms up. Maybe even a little too greedy. The rest of the team is nowhere close. So as I say, he's not punishable. I mean, in a 6v1, surely anybody's punishable.
And that's always the thing with this like situation where it's very hard to play it because it could very well be just a trap. Because they can just trap you if they get like 1 or 2 picks. They can like lead into the just end game. So you got to be so careful when that you're playing with your life in that way. So a lot of teams end up being too passive.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you have to take gambles now for Lowkey W. Like, there's no way you're back into this game with like a normal team fight. A normal team fight is not possible at this point in the game. It can only be like risky pickoffs that you end up getting away with, and the other team overextends into you. And they do have the big mid-boss contest tools, but I think we are kind of reaching that point, Dan, where I just don't believe anymore, in the mid-boss contest. I'm like, you might have a lot of ults, but we're talking 32k Wraith. Like, Wraith is effectively 2 players on Lowkey W right now.
That's fair. Yeah, that's pretty fair. Yeah, it's pretty rough. I mean, Warden was never really able to do too much in this game, and to be honest, we are seeing like a gun build. Like the gun build Warden is really nasty, but you got to get going at the right time. But we got a fight. Let's see if this one goes well for Lowkey W. The engage.
Wraith is waiting for this blind end. She can deal some real damage. She's living through it. 1 down. I will say for the Leviathan, it's an all-in here on the holiday. It's worked for now, but this is still a healthy Wraith, and you're running very low on skills. Swap is in, keeping people mobile, but nobody can stand toe-to-toe with this race. She's just looking for targets, struggling to find anybody, though. But it seems like the fight going quite well for them. Still with so many players low, someone's eventually going to drop. OC's hunting, and see everybody falls at once. I mean, Lowkey W did a great job that fight, I think, spreading the damage around and trying to do what they could. But in the end, it's just a full 6-on-6 team fight with, a 50k soul lead. It's just not tenable at this phase in the game. And a couple players trying to...
but they're just going for it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could... Maybe you should just do mid-boss here. I mean, I think it's... Maybe you look to drop and then go mid-boss, but Lowkey W... I mean, without ultis, though... I don't even know that mid is contestable. And there's a chance you just stick around for this. There's players already doing mid-boss, though, so I think that'll be in the end, the call. OCs has this swap. You can't overextend into him. Dangerously low. Warden, just, you have to go for it, right? But, I mean, any one of these corners is such a problem.
I like that, doing both mid-boss and getting there's enough players dead to get the patron down, the first stage patron down. So now it's just, Rejuve Crystal into end is the move. And they've got a massive lead.
You got to fight out of base. I think this is a good call from Lowkey W, but in the end, it's just not enough. 1 down for the Leviathan, but they're just going to respawn back into this, and Lowkey W getting cleaned up off the server. Empty Dreams headed straight for that patron. Actually, no, he started straight for the heroes who are trying to live in the fountain. There's absolutely no mercy into this game as Leviathan stake their claim here. Going to be going to that money match. Absolutely no shot for Lowkey W in this game. There were a couple early fights that were competitive and got interesting. Leviathan out-macroed, outplayed, out-team fight. I mean, just every level of the game dominated here by Leviathan. And honestly, that's a good sign for Leviathan. You're going to need to have a crushing victory in the challenger match to have a chance against Abrahams in that money match.
It was close for a little bit, and then it wasn't. Leviathan walking away with a dub. Obakim, Freemock showcasing their skills. DDK, did you have a favorite player in our challenger matchup? It can be from either side of the fight.
Probably Flammable, I want to say, because of the holiday play. I think in around like the 8 to 15 minute mark was really game changing, I think, for Leviathan, and just kind of allowed them to take control, truly take control.
As we take a look at some of the highlights, Wraith was kind of a talked about hero last week. We expect to see more of her. Jake, are they truly Thanos? That's what the YouTube chat was calling her.
I mean, Wraith at this farm level is a little bit Thanos, I gotta say, and especially given the lack of lockdown on Lowkey W. I mean, it's kind of just cosmetical trying to get these catches, and you don't have any hardcore stuns. I mean, the Billy ulti is okay, but a lot of your lockdown is just countered by debuff remover, and Empty Dreams made it a priority to get that item up after as soon as she got some of those power spikes, she was into the fight. So well executed for sure by Empty Dreams, and Leviathan just set them up for success, right? So I definitely think, I mean, Wraith, I'm starting to be a believer after that game. I feel like she was able to really get into the action in fights, maybe more so than in some of the previous games we've seen Wraith struggle to like really get into those fights. But I think a lot will come down to the draft, and I'm just very curious to see how these teams take it going into that money match.
Streaking towards the end, we'll take a look here at some of the numbers in just a bit. Chad was saying, though, that this was one of the most exciting games through the first 15 minutes. There's a lot of activity. There was a lot of kills. DDK, do you want to see this matchup again next week? Should we just run it back? Is there a big parity between these two teams? How close are they?
I mean, I think it's like the classic thing in Deadlock Night Shift that we see, where that challenger team is often like they're definitely really good players and they're a great team, but Leviathan is definitely quite far ahead at the moment. I think it's fair to say, just in terms of the hero pool, and like, I think also the understanding the meta, right? Because the way that they picked, the way that they played this was really powerful, and I didn't see enough from Lowkey W for me to think they're gonna be able to like have a close best of 3.
Not yet. Empty Dreams taking over the game, nearly the rainbow. Jake, if you're looking at the builds, anything you think we should call out to the community?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, playing around, it's clear one thing right now in the meta is that like these early game spikes, like it feels like the moment that a lot of players start hitting 2 spikes, whether that's like Wraith goes for gun and spirit spike, you know, but some of that more frontlining heroes are going to get like vitality in gun or vitality in spirit to be a little bit more well-rounded. But it's like that moment in the game is crucial. So whatever items you buy, it's about getting that 4.8k investment in a category and then really getting active, especially like 2 categories online. The fights come thick and fast, and I think that's something we're going to see more and more of is teams just hitting that spike and starting to put the pressure on, starting to force objectives, and the other team needing to make a defense, like needing to also be at parity at that point in the game to be able to like really progress to the mid game on even footing. So definitely interested to see some of these item builds, people, you know, what spikes they go for in the first place to try and hit that key mid-game spike.
We're told there's probably going to be this game mode, the current patch, for a little bit through the holidays. So lock in and perfect your game at home. Learn from the pros. That is our stats and reminder. We do some awesome breakdowns over on our YouTube channel of our weekly pick rates, also item rates. For now, though, we have to crown our MVP. Let's run it. Is it flammable on the holiday? No, it's the one leading in 4 different categories. Empty Dreams on the Wraith. Leviathan showcasing the strength of this character as we take a look at the highlights. DDK, what makes Wraith so scary?
I think one of the biggest things that makes Wraith scary is it's hard to itemize against Wraith. Wraith has a really nice split between super high gun and spirit damage. So Wraith is able to reliably output insane damage, especially once she gets those spikes and gets going. And also, you know, Wraith has a really good escape tool in having the TP. The teleport as well can allow her to sync up on somebody and then ult them and then disable them, silence them, so they can't really do anything, and they've bursted down. Like, there's just the 1v1 potential is really strong, so you can like split push really effectively with Wraith. And in the team fights, if Wraith is able to position well, she does so much damage and it's hard to like just lock her down. So it's a super strong carry at the moment.
Yeah, I have to say the Drifter got shut down in lane. Empty Dreams doing work throughout this one. We appreciate the highlights. You earned yourself an MVP award, and we expect you to keep it up in your next matchup because they're going to need you against the Abrahams. That is our EU final just around the corner. Jake, final thoughts here on our MVP for the first match of the night. This is our EU Challenger match.
Yeah, I mean, great performance from MP Dreams. It's exactly what you want to see out of your carry player in a dominant showing like that. I was also impressed, though, by like Cosmetical in particular on the Paradox on the other side of the field. A lot of really impressive swaps from the first person. I was like, okay, they came to play. There's shooters on this side as well, and I want to see more out of Lowkey W, but I'm just happy to see there's this new Reformation team in Leviathan that is actually pretty competitive on like a macro look, right? Bringing some of that experience of players like Obakim and Flammable in, like tempoing out the early game and great decisions through the late game. So I think they've set themselves up well for the money match, and I'm excited to see how they tango with Abrahams coming up next.
Chat, was Empty Dreams stats, were those off? It said 20 assists to go with the 12 kills and 2 deaths. DDK, they're going to need them against the Abrahams. That is our matchup coming up next. Currently, we have the grand final prize pool at $600, but those at home can help that number grow. What do they need to do?
All you have to do is throw the tips to the channel. We have a specific spot for you to be able to donate to the prize pool to pay the players, get them back up to what might be the more regular prize pools that they were experiencing on our sponsored shows. But obviously, you know, we had to drop the prize pools to keep our runway so we can keep the shows going. Yes. But obviously, that allows you guys to chip in if you want to sweeten the pot for the players. The players.
The players. We got a whole lot more talking to do on the other side of the break. When we come back, we'll update you on a roster change involving a very talked about player here on Deadlock. We'll be right back.